Officially closing its investigation into the killing of Emmett Till for a second time. This comes nearly 4 years after a professor discovered the woman who accused Till of making sexual advances recanted her statement. However, the DOJ says it can't prove the woman lied to federal investigators. 14-year-old Till was abducted, tortured, and killed in Mississippi back in 1955 after witnesses said he whistled at a white woman. The killing galvanized the civil rights movement after Till's mother insisted on an open casket. 2 men were acquitted of the crime but later admitted in an interview to killing him.
Double honors unto the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule well. Salutations to the hopeful elect. Shalom, Yasharallah. You heard it yourself. Case closed. At no time was I surprised when I first heard this. It is to be expected. Let's start here because the scriptures is very clear on this and what type of justice we are to expect from a system under the rulership of our enemy. This is Psalms chapter 94, verse 20, and it reads, "Shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee, which frameth mischief by a law?" The United States legal and justice system, in terms of being equitable and handing out justice, has always been subject to the distinction of 3 social, racial classifications. The first being the elite Edomites, the rich ruling class, so-called the whites. And some will argue, well, what about OJ? I think OJ said it best himself. I ain't black, I'm OJ, which speaks to my saying the rich ruling class. How many Jakes, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Indians do you know that carry the same socio-economic or political status, Salakia, as OJ? Very few. So when I say this, understand that there's a level of imbalance and disenfranchisement between the two. Rarely can Jake afford the type of representation OJ status and money can buy. Number 2 on the list is the working class Edomites, the blue-collared so-called whites, so you can understand. And then the third is Jake, the so-called blacks, Latinos, and natives, and the other nations of ethnicity or visible minorities, so you can understand. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked, Job 9:24. You tell me which nation of people rule this world, which so-called race as a collective controls the news, mainstream media, the entertainment and music industry, technology, health, education, the military, the economy even, and politics, goes on and on and on. Who at any given time can shut down every facet of industry, then orchestrate a reset and tell you they're going to build back better, and you seem to accept it every time, hook, line, and sinker. The throne of inequity is the power seat in which the nation of Edom, from the house of Amalek, the small hats in my day, we used to call them ZZ Top. The throne of iniquity is the power seat in which Esau, Edom, from the house of Amalek, the so-called Jews, sit. Sin upon sin upon sin, wicked act continued after wicked act. This is how Esau as a nation, through violence and deceit, came into their power of rulership over the whole earth. Let's go to James 4:4, and it says this: "Ye adulterers and adulteresses, i.e. you fornicators, you idolaters, you worshippers of other gods, know ye not that the friendship of the world is enmity with the Most High? Whosoever therefore will be a friend of the world is the enemy of the Heavenly Father." Now, for you hopeful elect, you know, the world as it pertains to John 3:16 is speaking of a specific arrangement of people, specifically speaking to we Hebrew Israelites. Yahweh Bashem Yahushua does not love everybody. That is a fallacy and a misconception that continues to be carried on by the mainly by the Christian, so-called Christian church. I say so-called because the real Christians are can only be Hebrew Israelites. Well, it's the same thing with James 4 and 4. The Most High Power is at odds with a specific nation of people, being the same wicked hand the earth is given into. Wicked hand, wicked works. Their wicked acts are framed by legislation. Shall the throne of iniquity, this wicked nation, have fellowship with thee, which frameth mischief by law, meaning you servants of the Lord who cry and sigh for all the abominations done on this earth? Do you expect to be treated fairly by those who rule the world through laws built on unrighteousness? It can't happen. Justice is blind, but it definitely sees your black ass coming a mile away. For those unfamiliar with the story of Emmett Till was a young man who was a native of Chicago and the only son of a private in the United States Army. His mother, an Air Force clerk who handled confidential and secret files. Now, Moses Wright, who is Emmett Till's great uncle, had come up to Chicago from Mississippi to visit. When Moses Wright was leaving, he planned to take Till's cousin back with him to Mississippi to visit relatives who were already down there. When Emmett Till found out about this, he begged his mother to let him go down with them. Let me read you this online excerpt from an article I found on the life of Emmett Till. And it says this: 3 days after arriving in Money, Mississippi on August 24th, 1955, Emmett Till and a group of teenagers entered Bryant's grocery and meat market to buy refreshments after a long day of picking cotton in the hot afternoon sun. What exactly transpired inside the grocery store that afternoon will never be known. Till purchased bubble gum, and some of the kids with him would later report that he either whistled at, flirted with, or touched the hand of the store's white female clerk and wife of the owner, Carolyn Bryant. 4 days later, at approximately 2:30 in the morning on August 28, 1955, Roy Bryant, Carolyn's husband, and his half-brother, J.W. Millam, kidnapped Till from Moses Wright's home. They then beat the teenager brutally, dragged him to the bank of the Tallahatchie River, shot him in the head, tied him with barbed wire to a large metal fan, and shoved his mutilated body into the water. Now, what they don't tell you is that there were so-called Negroes involved in the abduction of Emmett Till, but in any event, you can only imagine their motivation, and that was do this or face what was to be the fate of Emmett Till. Let's jump down in the article. Now, because black people and women were barred from serving jury duty, Bryant and Millam were tried before an all-white, all-male jury. And so after they were picked up for and charged with murder. In an act of extraordinary bravery, Moses Wright took the stand and identified Bryant and Millam as Till's kidnappers and killers. At the time, it was almost unheard of for black people to openly accuse whites in court, and by doing so, Wright put his own life in grave danger. Despite the overwhelming evidence of the defendant's guilt and widespread pleas for justice from outside Mississippi, on September 23rd, the panel of white male jurors acquitted Bryant and Millam of all charges. Their deliberations lasted a mere 67 minutes. Shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee, which frameth mischief by a law? Remember, he who has the power makes the rules. He who controls the nation's money supply makes the laws. These are the unwritten rules of the unjust nation who rules over us. So how can you expect any type of justice from these people? Leviticus 19 and 15, ye shall do no unrighteousness in judgment. Thou shalt not respect the person of the poor, meaning the third on the list, we so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Indians, we Hebrew Israelites, nor honor the person of the mighty. And who is it that has the power? Who is the mighty? Speaks to the first and second on the list of the social racial classification pertaining to the justice system. The elite of Esau, Edom, from the very top to the bottom of the list, the bottom of the pecking order, working class Edomites. But in righteousness shalt thou judge thy neighbor. Only a few months later, in January 1956, Bryan and Millam admitted to committing the crime. Protected by double jeopardy laws, they told the whole story of how they kidnapped and killed Emmett Till to Look magazine for the sum total of $4,000. Isaiah 10:1. The point is in our 2. We'll get that, then one more and close out. Woe, meaning destruction. Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees and that write grievousness which they have prescribed. The so-called justice system was set up for we Hebrew Israelites to fail. The laws were manufactured to trap us and keep us in jail. That's what prescribed means. They were pre, meaning before, scribed, meaning written, meaning they were designed for the oppression of us. Isaiah 10:2, to turn aside the needy from judgment and to take away the right from the poor of my people, that widows may be their prey and that they may rob the fatherless. And that's exactly what you see here. I haven't had a chance to look through the transcripts, but I'm pretty sure there was a sufficient amount of evidence to find them Edomites guilty in 60 seconds, not innocent in 60 minutes. For most, the idea of justice is subjective, but really there is only one judgment designed for the atrocities and the injustices we've had to face under the rulership of Esau, Edom. Never mind the draconian aspect of the justice system where Esau and Jake can be convicted of the same crime, but Esau will get a slap on the wrist and Jake, they throw Jake underneath the jail. This world, as it so sits, belongs to Esau. All the benefits of it have been afforded to him, but his kingdom of rule is crumbling and he is, you and I know it, he's losing his power. Real justice in any event is Revelation 13:10. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. Real justice is this judgment set for Esau, the so-called white man who deceived and enslaved the world, particularly we so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Indians. Through his military, through legislature, broken treaties with our brother Gad, contracts, licenses, and the misuse of legal documents. Yahweh says this about what he has recompensed on Esau's head. This is Ecclesiastes 5:8. And it reads, if thou seest the oppression of the poor and violent perverting of judgment and justice in a province, marvel not at the matter, meaning don't be surprised. For he that is higher than the highest regardeth, and there be higher than they. We are not to be amazed or feel defeated when we see this injustice being handed out. I mean, only a wise man understands judgment anyways. We understand that, as pure and innocent as Emmett Till might have been, we know that, in his past life, he might have did wickedness that he justly deserved this form of punishment handed out to him in his latter life. But in the same token, we are to apply the faith because Yahweh sees all the injustices played out against us, no matter how minute, no matter how major, no matter how grotesque. Them two devils that killed Emmett Till and the lioness Becky, who escaped her judgment through white man's justice on earth by dying herself. They might have, it might seem like they've gotten away, but they can't escape the Heavenly Father. They can't escape the legions of his heavenly host that he has at his disposal, or there's no escaping an MX missile. Esau as a nation has a lot to pay for, and any just eye can see that. Call halal Yahweh Bashem Yahushai Bashem Rakakwadash to a power and spirit. I hope you were edified. Double honors unto the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who teach this 100% truth and rule well. Salutations to the hopeful elect. Remember, no tickety test, no yiggity yab. And damn sure, don't take that shit. Shalom, man. Shalom.